It's Sean. Hey guys, in this episode, we have Ryan Self back with us. We talk about the writer strike that's going on in LA right now, and really, what do you do when life goes on strike? Welcome. It is time for Off the Cuff with me, Sean Hancock, and again, my very special guest. He's back, Ryan Scott Self. Ryan, thanks so much for joining me again. I know we got a lot of
you can't get rid of me
to talk about. I can't get rid of you. I couldn't get enough of you.
Once a week for the next 52 weeks.
I love it. If for some reason I need someone to step in because I'm gone, like you, incredible.
I can pretend to be Sean Hancock.
Yeah, right? You kind of, I mean, you're just put your hair in a man bun.
Guys, I just wanted to introduce the thing to you, and okay.
I didn't realize how nasally I was, but you're probably right. That's
I feel like whenever I impersonate someone, I go a little more nasally. That's the Jeff Blaine, that's the John Corrigan. It's always
right. That's funny. I love it. Well, my friend, you are in Los Angeles, California.
True
and
fact.
you got a lot going on. You're recovering or on the upswing from COVID again. This fourth rendition or whatever we're in of it. And you're in the middle of a writer strike, and you're a writer.
Yeah, and to actually double that up, I'm on double strike now because I didn't mention this earlier, but because SAG just went on strike as well.
Oh, wow.
So this is the first time I've ever experienced it, and I think from what I understand, it's the first time since like 1960 or something like that the industry has been on like double strike.
That's wild.
Writers and actors. And at the time, this is a fact I just heard, it was Ronald Reagan who was the SAG president. Not the president, the SAG president.
The SAG president. Oh, wow.
So now we have Fran Drescher.
Is Fran really the SAG president?
Yeah.
That's wild. I did not know that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That's wild. Fran Drescher. That's amazing.
Yeah.
So do you have to like go picket every other week?
Yeah, doing picketing at mostly Warner Brothers, also at Disney, just because I'm in the Valley, so it's easier there.
Okay.
I've done some fun pickets, which have been cool. I went to one that
a fun
was
picket.
Newsy themed picket. So they
so you guys all dressed up?
Yeah, I dressed up. I had a little Newsy hat, and it was fun.
Is it hard to take that seriously when you walk up and it's like the cast from Newsies, like
No, you don't need to take it seriously. You just got to be a body that's there. So it's like there are days where it kind of feels like a party, and there's other days where it just doesn't.
You're just holding up a sign.
Yeah, and you're happy that someone honks to you.
And I imagine you're bumping into some people that you know, whether you've...
Yes, it is. I feel like every time I've gone, I've run into someone that I didn't expect to see. Of like, oh, hey. It's a little mini reunion, yeah.
All right. Tom Cruise, is that you? Hey.
You again? Oh, I haven't seen you since the party.
Yeah. So I'm curious, like, because you have to pick it, otherwise you get like fined, if I'm right.
I don't know about that for SAG.
Okay.
I've been trying to keep up on the communications, and because SAG is just so huge. Like with WGA was a lot more. Everything was information was out immediately. We all understood what was going on. Stuff. SAG,
and that's Writers Guild of America for those who don't know the acronym.
But SAG, I feel like has been a little bit slower on the sending stuff out. And then I was just looking at the website today because I found out that I had a commercial audition. I was like, oh, I'm on strike. I can't do this. And they're like, nope, commercials actually aren't covered. It's just theatrical and streaming.
Really?
Which was news to me, which shouldn't be news to me. I should know these things. So it was like, maybe I'm not doing my homework right, or maybe they're not communicating.
So did you miss the audition, or did you say, sorry, I'm on strike? And they're like, no, you can audition because it's a commercial.
It was, I got the audition, was like, I don't think I can do this. But before I emailed my agent, I was like, let me do a little homework. And then saw on SAG's website. And I'm like, okay. All right. Well, and so I just did the audition just before this.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So does this impact you doing voiceovers as well, or is that separate as well?
Yes, yes. As far as theatrical and streaming, which means animate for the most part, any animation. Which that was, I had a little bit of a writing loophole where animation is actually covered by TAG, the animation guild. Most animation, some of the big like Simpsons and Futurama, those are WGA, but like most network streaming. I would say not most network, most cable and streaming are TAG, which meant I was able to actually just recently pitch an animation show, which is cool to be like, okay, I can still move that ball forward, but now with the actors also on strike, any sort of scripted anything is kind of dead for right now, or on pause.
Right.
Yeah.
So, is this? And I don't even know if you can talk about this or not. Is this a good thing, or is this like just an annoying thing that you have to go through and it's going to be better on the other side? Or is it like, no, it just kind of sucks. It is what it is. It's the game we have to play. You know what I mean?
Both. It is going to be better on the other side for sure. I believe 100% that it is the right move. I hate that we had to do it. It would have been so much nicer if, like, the AMTPT, PTPTP, the producers, AMPTP, had actually just agreed to some logical, like, bumps for everyone. And the stuff that they offered, both for the writers and actors, is just terrible. And they're treating them. It's kind of what we're seeing in a lot of industries, where it's just you're seeing executives treating their employees as like less than human, kind of, where it's just like, oh, yeah. There was a statement that came out like kind of through Deadline recently that the producers. It was leaked. Who knows if it's true or not? But someone was saying like, "Oh, we're going to keep this going, strike going until the writers feel it, until like they start losing their houses and their apartments."
Really?
Like that's just like one of those things. You're like, "That's no, you guys are the bad guys." And they even said like, "It's an evil, but it's a necessary evil." I'm like, "No, it's not. No, you're just evil." So
that's wild.
Yeah, that kind of stuff sucks.
I did hear the CEO of Disney say that like the demands are ridiculous, or not even in ballpark of what they could come to an agreement with. Yeah,
which sucks. So I don't know how long it's going to go, but it's definitely this is going to be a brutal one. I was in town in the 2008 strike, somewhere around there.
Yeah,
and that one
I remember that
wasn't as bad as this. And it still was. It was like a 3-month strike, and I remember feeling it at the time, especially because I was like paycheck to paycheck, and I was just like, "Oh no, this is going to be bad." But this one, I think, is going to like. I hope that now that SAG is on strike, it's going to escalate things, but
like speed it up. Like,
yeah,
hey,
the temperature right now, and again, leaked stuff is that the producers were saying. Like they're happy to go until like October, after Halloween, November. It's like, oh no, that's not good.
So someone like yourself, and if you can do so much work online, or whether it's commercials, are you just finding other things to do during this time? Or is it
it is a little tricky. Like the WGA's kind of mentality on it is pencils down, like stop working on anything that's going to further anything that's going to help the studios, because their mentality for a lot of these strikes is, well, it's not going to hurt that bad because it just gives time for writers to like develop their own stuff that they'll end up selling to us anyway. So it's like we get unpaid labor for a little bit. And I think that this last strike, the writer's strike in 2008, the encouragement was like, hey, go out, do shorts. That's did you ever see the Joss Whedon's the Dr. Horrible's sing-along blog?
Yes, I did.
So he did that during the strike.
Okay.
It was like, do your own things, like have fun. This one's different, where it's like, no, just do nothing. Like, don't give them anything that can then be money later on down the road. That being said, I've found a few kind of like workarounds where it's like, well, there was a graphic novel idea that I had been working on. So now I'm kind of focusing on developing that. There was an animation show that's not covered by Writers Guild. And I'm like, okay, I can work on that.
Yeah.
So
small projects, whether it's like a voiceover for an audiobook or something like that.
Yeah. So yeah, and it's the balance of then being like, okay, am I still, fulfilling my own kind of creative outlets? Am I not, scabbing in any sort of way? And then also, am I making some kind of income? And that the third one is the tricky one, because most things are just not, where it's just like, yeah, I'm dipping into my savings right now, and that's just going to be what it is for as long as it has to be, which sucks.
Yeah. Jeez. Yeah. As you know, I'm in Boise, Idaho, where we're recording this, and it's a right to work state. So unions are right to work. Like you have the right to work or not work.
Oh,
I remember I was working at this picture frame gallery in my early 20s. Yeah, and we had we were demanded to work overtime, and we're like, no, I had plans to go over the weekend with my family to go camping, and like, sorry, it's mandatory overtime. If you don't do it, McDonald's is hiring. So they basically were like, you have to work, otherwise you're fired.
And they were allowed to do that?
Yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Wow. And that's what right to work means.
Yeah, right to work. They usually have to do like time and a half, or they once you hit overtime hours, they pay you for the overtime, and they did, but they could demand mandatory overtime. I've worked at multiple different companies here in town where it was mandatory overtime. You had to work because they needed the output. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Jeez.
So pretty wild.
Right. So there are different
totally different way of doing it. There is some unions here, but they just don't have the weight and the pull that the Writers Guild or the SAG, the Actors Guilds have in LA. I sometimes wonder what this might do for other markets, whether it's Atlanta, or of course I imagine Atlanta's probably part of
SAG, right now with SAG, it is
nationwide.
Yeah. So there's and then WGA as well. There's WGA East and WGA West, but they're both on strike. It's interesting because there are also like out of country productions. So like House of the Dragon is covered by, I think, BAFTA, which is the British actors, whatever. So they're like, they can still keep shooting. So there's a couple of like things there, and there's some SAG is offering waivers for a lot of indie productions that aren't servicing these studios in any way. Yeah. So I know I have a couple friends who are like shooting indie features that are just like that have gotten the A-OK to be like, okay, you can go and go for it. But it'll be interesting to see if it gets picked up by a studio for distribution, then doesn't that just benefit them? Like, is it playing into the whole system of like them being like, we're just going to wait it out? Which I have all kinds of theories of the fact that there's a crazy proliferation right now of like TV shows and movies. Like there is too much to watch. Like during the pandemic, I feel like everybody caught up a little bit on their like, okay, I've got to watch this, gotta watch this, and binging all these things. We all watched Tiger King. No one needed to. But then now, like my queue has gotten so much bigger where I'm like, I just can't keep up with all the good shows that are out there. And I wonder if this is me just like theorizing.
Oh yeah, hey, let's dive into some conspiracy.
I know, Ryan's deep thoughts. If the studios were like, we've got too much, but we can't stop the machine. Like, what if we just caused a little, and then like slim down?
It's going to change the supply and demand, right?
Yeah. And so if there is a lull for the next like year or 2 years, I wonder if consumers are going to be like, it's fine. I don't know.
Ryan, I know you love a good cliffhanger, so does our audience.
Yes.
So we're actually, if you don't mind, going to carry this conversation into the next episode.
I would be honored.
Let's go.